You know what is really interesting? Almost every woman thinks she already knows how to kiss a man. But if you quietly ask most men, they will admit that only a few women have ever made them feel something deeper than just a simple spark. The reality is, men are not difficult to excite. However, making a man fully lose control, making him think about you long after you are gone, that is a completely different level of understanding. And that level begins with knowing 3 hidden sensitive areas on his body that are linked not only to physical pleasure, but also to emotional surrender. Now, before you think you already know what I am talking about, stop for a moment. Because most people assume they know these spots, but they are not where you think they are. And once you truly understand them, he will never forget how you made him feel. Even if other people come after you, that memory will stay with him. Here is where many women make a mistake. They mix being attractive with being intentional. They believe kissing is only about passion and natural feeling. But real impact is not only about passion, it is also about timing, rhythm, awareness, and emotional connection. The right kiss, in the right place, with the right energy, can make a man's entire system slow down and respond deeply. I used to believe kissing was only about chemistry, that sudden, unexplainable feeling between 2 people. But over time, after observing relationships and human behavior, I understood something important. Chemistry is not only something that happens randomly, it can also be created. It can be built step by step through attention, presence, emotional focus, and timing. So today, I want to guide you through 3 special areas that activate both physical sensation and emotional response at the same time. Because when you stimulate both his body and his emotional identity together, you create a strong mental loop that keeps repeating in his mind, saying he wants more of you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever kissed a man and noticed that he responded, but still did not fully let go? Like he enjoyed it, but something inside him stayed controlled. That usually happens because most people focus only on common places like lips, neck, or chest. And yes, he enjoys it there, but his mind is not surprised anymore. There is no new signal, no emotional shock that makes him feel something different. Men also deeply crave novelty, just like they crave appreciation. What makes a man truly lose control is not only the kiss itself, but the meaning behind it, the location, and the intention. Here is something most women never realize. Men have certain sensitive zones that are connected not only to nerve response, but also to pride, emotional safety, and psychological surrender. When you learn how to activate both his physical reaction and his emotional state together, you stop being just another experience in his life. You become someone his body remembers differently. But before going into those areas, you need to understand something deeper. Many women believe men always want control. But the truth is, the right man does not want constant control. He wants to feel safe enough with you to let it go. And how you guide him there is not through force or dominance, but through calm presence. It is in the way your touch communicates safety, the way your closeness tells him he does not need to stay alert, that he can relax without thinking. This goes beyond logic. It creates a deep emotional attraction that cannot be easily explained. Because for a man, surrender is one of the most vulnerable states, and the woman who naturally leads him into that state becomes unforgettable in his mind. I am not talking about tricks or shortcuts. This is not manipulation. This is understanding how human emotion and physical response work together. When you touch him in specific ways, you activate parts of his nervous system that release dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals linked to pleasure, trust, and emotional bonding. That is why certain touches feel more meaningful than others. They do not only create physical sensation, they connect you in his mind with calmness, safety, and emotional warmth. But something many people do not realize is that powerful intimacy does not start with lips. It starts with intention. The way you move closer, the way you pause, the way you let anticipation build naturally. Even your breath touching his skin before any real contact creates a kind of tension. That small waiting moment builds expectation, and expectation often becomes stronger than the action itself. Those first few seconds before any physical touch can sometimes have more emotional impact than the kiss itself, because that is where the mind starts imagining, predicting, and feeling. To be honest, I also used to misunderstand this. I thought passion meant moving faster, showing more excitement, and expressing everything directly. But over time I realized something different. Men do not always remember the woman who rushed. They remember the one who made everything feel slower, deeper, and more intentional. Because that kind of energy shows presence. It shows that you are not performing. You are actually feeling the moment. The real goal is not just to excite him. The goal is to bring him inward, into a quieter emotional state. A place where his thoughts slow down and his feelings become stronger than his logic. If you want to be the kind of woman who stays in his mind long after the moment is over, then understanding this becomes important. One of the most powerful and often ignored areas is just behind his ear. It is a small and delicate spot, but very sensitive. The skin there is thin and filled with nerve endings close to the vagus nerve, which plays a role in calming the body and creating emotional connection. When you touch or kiss that area in the right way, you are not only creating physical reaction, you are also sending a message of safety, attention, and emotional closeness. What makes this area even more powerful is the meaning his mind gives to it. Because it is close to his private space, his brain naturally associates it with trust and emotional openness. When your breath reaches that area, his nervous system responds in two ways at once. One is physical sensation, and the other is emotional relaxation. That is why he may pause, shiver slightly, or close his eyes for a moment. His body is processing both comfort and intensity together. Now here is how to approach it properly. Do not rush into it. Never go directly. Build the moment slowly. Start by being near his ear without touching. You can speak softly first, maybe whisper something light, or simply say his name in a calm tone. Let your voice stay close to him for a moment. Let your breath mix with his space. You are not just touching him, you are creating presence. Then slowly let your breath move near the edge of his jawline. If he leans toward you, that is a sign he is open to the moment. Do not rush forward. Pause again. That pause is very powerful, because in that silence, his mind shifts from thinking into feeling. Then gently kiss the area behind his ear. Not too strong, not rushed, just soft and warm. Keep it light and controlled. Hold it for a brief moment, slightly longer than expected, then slowly move away. Do not repeat it immediately. Let him sit with that feeling. Let his mind remember it. Let his body try to recreate it. This is emotional pacing. Giving enough to create desire, but not so much that it loses tension. You are teaching his mind to associate you with anticipation. When you master this rhythm, he will start remembering not just the kiss, but the feeling of wanting more. Because men are often trained to stay in control. They grow up with logic, structure, and responsibility. But when a woman brings softness, stillness, and intentional calmness, it interrupts that pattern. Behind the ear is where that shift often happens. It is where control starts to weaken and emotional surrender begins to appear. Every man, even the strongest one, has a quiet desire to feel safe enough to let go. He may never express it in words, but it exists inside him. And when you understand how to create that feeling without force, only through presence, timing, and emotional awareness, you become someone he does not easily forget. When you kiss that area, you are giving him permission to stop performing. You are basically telling him, you don't have to be anything right now, just exist. That sense of safety is very rare for him. It is something he usually cannot find anywhere else. There is also something deeply primal about that spot. Evolutionary research suggests it is a region where humans naturally sense warmth, breath, and pheromones, all signals of closeness and trust. When you kiss him there, his body releases oxytocin and dopamine, the same chemical mix that strengthens emotional bonding. It is not just sexual excitement, it is biological attachment. That is why, after a slow, lingering kiss behind the ear, most men instinctively pull you closer. It is not only desire, it is his brain trying to stay close to the source of comfort. And there is something most people never think about. The way you end that moment is just as important as how you start it. After kissing him behind the ear, do not move away too fast. Stay near. Let your lips hover close to his skin as you slowly exhale. That warm breath tells his subconscious that you are still there. Then gently pull back, but avoid making immediate eye contact. Let him look for you for a moment. Let him close that small distance himself. When he does, his attention is no longer on the future or distractions. It becomes fully centered on you. What makes this place so strong is not only physical pleasure, but the emotional meaning behind it. It sends a quiet message. I notice the part of you nobody else reaches. The hidden side. And when he feels that kind of recognition, he does not only want you, he feels understood by you. That level of emotional connection is something most men rarely experience. And it all begins with something as simple as a gentle kiss behind the ear. But the mindset is the most important part. This is not about following steps like a routine or a trick. It is about being fully present. If your mind is busy thinking, now I do this, now I do that, you lose the moment completely. The real effect comes from curiosity, from noticing his breathing, sensing how his body reacts, and feeling the energy between you. Trust your natural instinct instead of a fixed script. The truth is, the most unforgettable kiss never feels planned. It feels discovered in real time. And when he senses that you are discovering him instead of performing, he relaxes deeply. So next time you are close and feel the urge to go straight for his lips or neck, pause for a moment. Wait. Let your lips hover near that soft curve behind his ear. Let the silence stretch slightly. Let the emotional tension build naturally between you. And when you finally touch that spot, do it like you are speaking a language only his body understands. That is how you begin his emotional unraveling. That is how you make him lose his usual control in a quiet, natural way. Many people do not realize how sensitive a man's wrist can be. It is always visible, yet rarely touched with real intention. That is what makes it so powerful. The inside of the wrist has delicate nerve endings that are closely connected to the body's awareness of heartbeat and arousal. When you touch or kiss that area, you are almost syncing with his pulse, the rhythm that reminds him he is alive, desired, and seen. What makes it even more powerful is its subtle nature. It is not loud or obviously sexual. It is quiet, gentle, and unexpected. And that is exactly why it stays in his memory longer than more obvious gestures. You are entering his emotional space through softness, not force or intensity. Start in a simple way. Imagine sitting across from him at dinner, his arm resting casually on the table. You are laughing, teasing, and holding his gaze. Then, in a natural moment, reach for his hand. Do not grip it tightly. Just turn it gently so his palm faces upward. Lightly run your fingers over the soft skin where his wrist connects to his hand. At that moment, you will likely feel his pulse react. That subtle rhythm under your touch becomes a quiet confession. He is feeling something deeper than words. Pause there. Let your thumb move slowly in soft, relaxed circles while you continue talking normally. You are linking your presence to his heartbeat without saying anything. When you eventually lean in and kiss that spot slowly and softly, it sends a direct signal through his nervous system. His body reads it as both calm and excitement at the same time. It creates a blend similar to when adrenaline and oxytocin mix together. He feels alert but peaceful, excited but grounded. That balance is what often keeps emotional attraction alive. They are not just chasing excitement, they are also chasing calm inside desire. And in that moment, you become the source of both. The wrist is powerful because it is unexpected. Most men have experienced kisses on the neck or lips, but the wrist feels different. It communicates attention to detail. It silently says, "I notice you." That level of care breaks through emotional defenses. You are not treating him like someone to impress or perform for. You are exploring him like something meaningful and unique. And people rarely forget the person who made them feel studied with that kind of gentle attention. The approach itself is simple, but patience is required. Do not rush. Stay light, calm, and present. Let your lips hover just above his wrist for a moment, so your breath warms his skin. Watch his reaction closely. If he tenses, slow down. If he relaxes or exhales, that is your signal to continue. Then kiss him once, softly and slowly, right on his pulse point. Hold it there for a few seconds, just enough time for your breathing to settle into his rhythm. When you pull away, do it slowly, almost like you are taking away something he did not realize he was holding on to. That small absence of warmth makes his mind want it again. That is how the emotional loop begins. Attraction often lives in contrast, in the push and pull between closeness and distance. The wrist kiss captures that balance perfectly. It creates tension without force, intimacy without pressure. After that, do not rush to speak. Let the silence stay for a moment. Let it carry meaning. Maybe smile slightly, as if you know something he has not fully understood yet. Because in a way, you do. You have just activated a sensory memory that may replay later when he is alone, wondering why he suddenly misses your touch. That is not manipulation, it is emotional imprinting. His body remembers softness long after details fade. What makes the wrist kiss even more powerful is its symbolism. The wrist is where we feel our pulse most clearly, where life feels most present. When you kiss him there, you are acknowledging his existence in a quiet, personal way. It is like saying, "I feel you, I see you, you matter in this moment." And for many men, that feeling is deeply magnetic. They are not often seen beyond strength, confidence, or control. This kind of tenderness cuts through all of that and reaches something more human underneath. Here is a small way to deepen it further. After that kiss, lightly trace the same spot with your fingertip in a slow, small spiral motion. Do not stare at him. Keep talking or smiling naturally, as if nothing unusual happened. That contrast between your calm behavior and the intimate gesture creates a subtle mental tension. He may not know whether to move closer or stay still. That confusion is part of the emotional pull. Real desire is rarely loud. It hums quietly beneath the surface. And when you learn to notice that subtle emotional hum, you start to understand the rhythm of connection itself. It is not about control, it is about presence. When your energy says, "I am here with you," his defenses lower naturally. When your touch communicates, "I see you," his emotional openness increases. The wrist kiss is one of the smallest actions with one of the strongest emotional effects. It says, "I choose this moment with you." And that is something many people deeply long for. So next time you are close enough to touch his hand, do not go for the obvious gesture. Let your fingers drift slowly to his wrist. Feel his pulse beneath your touch. Kiss it softly, like it is a secret only the moment knows. Then pull back slightly and notice how his body naturally leans toward you before his mind even realizes it. That is the quiet power of subtle connection. That is how emotional pull builds slowly, one heartbeat at a time. There is also a part of a man's body that is often overlooked, yet it carries deep emotional weight. It is the small of his back, where the spine curves gently before reaching the waist. That area holds control, tension, and strength, all the things men are often expected to carry without showing weakness. So when you touch or kiss there, you are not only giving physical sensation, you are offering emotional release. It goes beyond pleasure. It becomes comfort. The lower back sits at the point between protection and surrender. In a physical sense, it often holds stress from posture and movement. Emotionally, it is where vulnerability hides. When your hand or lips reach that area with care, it bypasses overthinking and speaks directly to a part of him that wants rest, trust, and emotional safety. Most people lightly brush past it during a hug without realizing its impact. But when you stay intentional and present, the experience changes completely. Picture this. He is standing in a quiet space, still and unaware for a moment, as the atmosphere around him feels calm and steady. Right in front of you, maybe in a kitchen space or while reaching for something placed slightly higher, the moment naturally brings you both closer. You don't rush it. You simply move in until your bodies are close enough to feel aligned without forcing anything. In that quiet space, you place your hand gently at the lower part of his spine. You are not pressing or guiding him. You are only resting your hand there softly. This is not control in any way. It is connection. That small action quietly tells him that you are with him in that moment, not opposing him or trying to change anything about him. It supports his strength instead of challenging it. As your hand stays there, you slowly begin to move your fingers in small, calm circles along that soft line of muscle at his lower back. The movement is light and unhurried, almost like a silent reassurance. You may notice something subtle happening. His breathing changes without him even noticing it. A quiet exhale leaves his body and his shoulders start to loosen. His tension begins to drop naturally, without effort, as if his body understands it is safe to relax. If you want to make the moment deeper and more meaningful, you lean in slowly. You let yourself come closer without any sudden movement. Then, very gently, you let your lips touch just above the waistband, at the center of his lower back. The intention behind this is not excitement or stimulation, but calmness and emotional grounding. That contrast is what gives the moment its depth. His mind may not immediately understand what he is feeling. It is not purely comfort, and it is not purely intimacy either. It sits somewhere in between. That unclear feeling engages his attention fully, even without him trying. Because it is unexpected in its softness, his body naturally begins to respond. He may feel a quiet emotional pull, a sense of wanting to stay in that moment a little longer, even if he cannot explain why. His nervous system is simply trying to understand a feeling that feels both safe and deeply personal at the same time. The lower back carries meaning in a very subtle way. It is often a place where people hold hidden tension and vulnerability without realizing it. Even someone who appears strong or confident can carry stress there. When you touch or gently kiss that area, it sends a quiet message that does not need words. It communicates something simple but powerful. It tells him that he does not need to stay guarded in that moment, that he can relax without feeling exposed or judged. That message goes deeper than ordinary affection because it reaches a place of emotional safety. This is not about control or dominance in any form. It is about comfort and trust. When a man feels emotionally safe enough to let his guard drop, even for a short moment, the connection becomes stronger and more real. That is where emotional bonding begins to grow in a deeper way. Not through intensity, but through safety. Timing is very important here. You do not start with this kind of touch. The lower back is too personal and too revealing for a first moment. It should only happen when trust is already there, when the energy between you is calm and natural, and when emotional tension has already softened. You wait until his breathing has slowed down, until his body language shows ease, and until there is no resistance or emotional distance left. When the right moment arrives, the lower back kiss becomes something like a pause in time. It is not loud or dramatic. It is soft, steady, and meaningful. It feels like it completes an unspoken sentence between two people who already understand each other without needing words. It carries feelings of belonging, closeness, and quiet emotional presence. There is a natural rhythm to it. First, your hand rests still at his lower back. You allow your fingers to stay gently spread, not gripping but simply present. Then you trace a slow line along his spine, moving downward in a controlled and soft motion, stopping just above the waistband. You pause there for a moment. That pause is important because it builds natural awareness without pressure. During that pause, you can let your breath be felt near him without rushing anything. That quiet closeness creates a subtle emotional build-up that feels natural rather than forced. Then, slowly, you place a warm and gentle kiss at that same point. You hold it there briefly, not long enough to overwhelm, but long enough for it to be felt fully. After that, you slowly pull away without breaking the calm energy. You do not speak immediately. You allow silence to carry the meaning of what just happened. Silence in moments like this often says more than words ever could. Even as you begin to withdraw slightly, you keep your hand lightly resting there for a few seconds longer, maintaining that soft connection. Both of you remain in sync through breathing. There is a quiet, shared rhythm that forms without effort. In that moment, it is as if your nervous systems are communicating without language. Everything becomes slower, calmer, and more present. This type of intimacy feels natural because it is not forced. It does not try to create a reaction, it simply allows one to happen. When you eventually step back, you do it slowly and without breaking the emotional flow. You might walk past him gently or offer a quiet, soft glance over your shoulder. You leave him in a space that feels calm but emotionally active, somewhere between peace and awareness. That lingering space is powerful. It stays in memory longer than expected. Many people do not realize how deeply small, subtle moments can affect emotional attachment. In daily life, people often hide behind strength, routine, and control. They rarely experience moments where they can fully relax emotionally without needing to perform or protect themselves. But deep inside, many people desire exactly that feeling. They want to feel safe enough to stop pretending, even for a short time. A simple touch on the lower back in the right emotional moment becomes a signal for that safety. It tells him, without words, that it is okay to relax, that he does not need to stay guarded here. And when someone experiences that sense of peace with you, even once, they naturally begin to associate you with emotional safety. That is why they may return emotionally again and again. Because peace is not something people find easily. It is rare. It feels grounding. And when it is connected with attraction, it becomes something much deeper than simple desire. Attraction is not about proving value or trying to impress someone. It is about presence. It is about being fully there in a moment without forcing anything. A gentle touch on the lower back becomes a form of presence that does not need explanation. It quietly says, "I see you as you are," without pressure, without expectation. That kind of feeling stays with a person. It is not loud, but it is long-lasting. It turns a small moment into something memorable. So in a quiet moment, after laughter or during a pause when everything feels still, that is when such a gesture becomes meaningful. You do not treat it as an action to perform. You treat it as a message to send without words. Your touch becomes a way of saying that he is safe to let go, even briefly. Your presence becomes a reminder that he does not always need to stay in control.